Story tonight. In just a few minutes, the community is getting ready to honor the victims of the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting. Exactly 1 year after that tragedy devastated the community, 6-year-old Stephen Romero was playing at an inflatable bounce house. 13-year-old Kayla Salazar would have celebrated her 14th birthday less than a week later, and 25-year-old Trevor Irby, a recent college graduate, was enjoying the festival with his girlfriend. Tonight, we remember all 3 victims. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here for our special coverage tonight. I'm Veronica Macias. 1 year ago, on the last night of the 2019 Garlic Festival, a gunman cut a hole into the fence to access that festival at Christmas Hill Park and opened fire just before 6 p.m., killing 3 and injuring more than a dozen others. He then pulled the trigger on himself when police began firing back at him. Tonight, we have live team coverage for you. KION anchors Aaron Groff and Alicia Machado joining us from Christmas Hill Park. Aaron, what's the sentiment out there today?
Veronica, obviously a very somber event. A lot of talk about moving forward, but of course remembering the lives lost. In fact, just about a minute ago, we saw who I believe is the family of Kayla Salazar just passed, a big picture with her face on it, one of those 3 people who lost their lives in that event. We're here in the ranch side of Christmas Hill Park. This memorial ceremony about to get underway in just a few minutes. But I do want to take you to the scene from earlier today when they raised the Gilroy Strong flag up here at the park. It was a moment brought to us by the mayor of Gilroy earlier. He spoke about people spending the last year helping each other get through things like pain, through sorrow and fear, but then talked about something here he called a collective spirit of caring and belonging. And boy, did this community care. Nearly $2 million and counting for the Victims Fund. So many people involved in this effort to move forward while honoring the victims and the lives lost. I want to bring in our KION Alicia Machado here. And Alicia, you spent today speaking with many of the people who were there the day of the shooting a year ago.
That's right, and tonight those family members are returning back to Gilroy to honor their loved ones, and we're just moments away from their standing with the community to mark their pain and also to continue the healing process 1 year later, coming right back to where it all began, but now standing together even as we look back at these moments. Just even in the past 24 hours on that day when it all happened after the shooting, memorials for the victims grew outside Christmas Hill Park. Locals and people from all over stood together at vigils and lit candles, honoring the lives lost. They gave what they could to raise money for the families, $1.9 million raised, and have continued to host events throughout the year to give back to the community. The Gilroy Garlic Festival tells us today their hearts are with the victims.
A day of reflection and really a day to pray for Stephen, Kayla, and Trevor's families and the loss that they've all suffered, and also for the many victims who are part of this tragedy.
I've been speaking with 13-year-old Kayla Salazar's family in these days leading up to the tragic anniversary, and their minds tonight are really focused on remembering every moment she lived up until her death. It was just too difficult for that family to speak with us on camera, but they do say that she had a big heart, she loved animals, and was also a talented artist. Coming up on KION News at 6, I'll share with you some more memories that Kayla's grandma shared with me. Just a terrible day for these families to have to relive those moments, but also good for them to come together and continue that healing process.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to hear these stories from this family and all the other victims. So much bravery from those first responders that day as well, helping save so many lives. I sat down with Gilroy Police Chief Scott Smithy talking about what happened that day and then just the amazing way the community came forward after that. 5:41 p.m., July 28th, 2019.
Time 47, active shooter.
Gilroy Police Chief Scott Smithy was heading home.
I had my police radio on, so, I heard it just as everybody else did.
Active shooter at the Garlic Festival.
Your first thought is, did I actually hear what I just thought I heard? It's almost a disbelief.
No one knew it in the chaos, and an hours-long search for a possible second suspect.
There were some differences that led us to believe, maybe maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but it's certainly something we couldn't take lightly. We had to make the assumption that there could be another threat out there.
But the threat to the Gilroy Garlic Festival was over in just 60 seconds. 3 officers charged the lone gunman, shooting him before he turned the gun on himself. But in those seconds, unimaginable tragedy. 11 people shot, 3 of them dead. Stephen Romero, Kayla Salazar, Trevor Irby, all in the early stages of their lives. 1 year later, we still don't know why the shooter ripped through the fence and tore through the heart of the community, but we do know his social media profile showed signs of anger. Smithy says how many people communicate and get their information online isn't helpful. However, Gilroy was strong. The slogan "Gilroy Strong," a rallying cry to mend the physical and emotional wounds inflicted by the gunman on the community, including law enforcement officers. Thanks to people like Ariane Gauch, featured in this KION report. Chief Smithy, watching her story for the first time, cracks a smile.
We made cookies, different shapes of cookies.
I couldn't think of a better way to help our staff in particular start the healing process.
Memorials turn to concerts and rallies, millions of dollars in donations, pride that's still seen in store windows now. What it's been like in the community the last year?
You know, I think the community has come together like you can't even imagine. Wanting to make a positive difference and wanting to help people and bringing our community together has been truly incredible.
And of course, we were all hoping that big community gathering this year would be the Garlic Festival in 2020. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, that wasn't able to happen. So coming up at 6 o'clock, I'll speak with Chief Smithy about how much they were looking forward to that Garlic Festival and the hope that it's going to happen next year, because we all know it will. We do want to get, though, back to what happened a year ago. The investigation into the shooting is still underway. FBI San Francisco officials say as of now, they do not have an update on that. They're only referring to the Garlic Festival shooting as a, quote, ongoing investigation. The FBI is still trying to determine a clear motive from the shooter to this day. I was there that day along with Alicia here, and then of course in the days afterwards, seeing everyone rally together and come together. And so Alicia, if you could just share a little bit about what you saw here in Gilroy that week.
That's right. I just remember coming here and initially seeing those families looking for each other, but then instead of looking toward their own tragedy and focusing on their own emotions, they really broadened their horizons and started saying, what can I do to help? What can I do to make a difference here and make this easier for our first responders, for those families looking for other people? And it's been amazing to see the community coming together and enjoying this healing process together. Remembering what happened, but also coming together, Gilroy Strong, and showing that together really it makes a difference.
Yeah, Alicia, I've got to say, there's not a day that goes by really where I don't think of this. My wife and I were both there that day, and we showed up all smiles, and then later we came back crying. She's a reporter like I were. We heard what happened, and we were sent there to Gilroy and had to speak to so many people trying to figure out what happened. I spoke with a young man, Ty, trying to get back together with his mom, who we learned was okay, and thinking about what happened that day and how it still does stick with us. But then being there the days afterwards, seeing everyone in the community, how quickly they rallied together to talk to each other, to heal together, and then raise so much money that's going to go such a long way for these victims. It is incredible, as you heard Chief Smithy talking about just moments ago, for the community and for the responders here, and the family again just showing up for the victims here today. This memorial service starting in just a few minutes. We'll have a live report for you back at 6 o'clock. But for now, for Alicia Machado, I'm Aaron Groff, live in Gilroy for KION News Channel 546.